Hey guys and girls, welcome back to some Ace Attorney. Some great Ace Attorney. Have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure, I have, my lord. There are now two matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin, as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal the fact from the police? Begad, no. It is not in my nature to hide anything. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell yous all or keep me mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded. The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger. It's true? Aye. It was me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened. You... What? No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am Lord Van Zykes. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was? Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her out into this here courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. And who was this young child of whom you speak? That I don't know. You don't know? Aye. Well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statement to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Bang! Ah! Smoke! Ah! Fire! There's a fire! Look, someone's there trying to get away! It's no use! Ah! I can't see anything! What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. To be continued. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. (18th February, 12:52 p.m.) The Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Naruhodo, I've managed to find out what happened. Mr. Sato. I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGilded was just talking about? My thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilded? What's become of Mr. McGilded, actually? There's so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk. And for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that's troubling me. What's that? The 20 pence. Oh, According to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence, exactly. But now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers, which means the figures don't seem to add up again. She's right. That is strange. Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed to the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of this trial. We'll know soon enough, Miss Susato. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilded. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Van Sykes. My lord. I believe you have established the cause of the smoke, which availed proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade. The sort typically employed by the army. Good gracious, the army? What in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery. But she was caught, and now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in the courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior? If I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilded. I think perhaps I ought to explain here. Why, it is that this wee lass was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that. It's all tied up with the events of that night, so it is. Very well, Mr. McGilded. Give your testimony. You'll explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved. Just what had happened. What did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. I took the back seat of the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at me feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball. I remained somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I gather, on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus. Just exactly as the defense counsel said. This last was the 5th passenger, my lord. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. When in doubt, press everything.
Hold it!
Got an omnibus with the pastures. Going out, the cabin was empty, and there was no one on the roof deck. You were the first passenger. And that's why I took the backside, as I did. Just the most comfortable, so it is. Talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, just the most comfortable and where I felt most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Then we gore, a loud thud, and we scream. A loud thud, you say? And a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? Just like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor having been stabbed? Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me up and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fellow on the floor. You didn't see anyone, but at the same moment you did hear a scream. From the seat above. On the roof deck, I presume. Not above me, my lord. Just from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before me. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at my feet.
Hold it!
You sat him up? The victim, you mean? That I did, on the seat across from me, as I said. I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? Just common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Nada. Lord Van Zyke. Now why would that be? You wake to find a man lying dead at your feet on a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates. Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try where at all possible to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man? Heavens alive, no. I was always intending to report it, so I was. Only I had a mind to find out the whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores. Right here. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yeah, the scream, he says, he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what
Hold it!
I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well now, 'tis a queer thing. The wee scream I heard as I awoke came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside. Good gracious. Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage. So Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? I do remember seeing that. Yeah, of course, the whole bus was submitted as evidence. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around the inside. And that's when I found her. There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away.
Hold it!
You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. It was hard to see in the dim lamplight. But she was all curled up in a wee ball when our eyes met. My heart nearly stopped beating in my chest. You're really overreacting this. Still in all, I pulled her out from under there and sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chinwag with her. The seat opposite? That's right, just next to the dead gentleman there. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir? That's a little weird. Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in a moment of danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream, a fellow's voice. Presumably that scream was Mr. Furse, who was sitting on the roof deck seat. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with the knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGildy. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was, in fact, this girl and the late Mr. Mason. Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight. It's certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused perhaps with this young girl. After that, of course, with the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. Thank you, I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is the girl? Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purse. What's commonly called a pickpocket. What? This girl here? A petty thief. Order. Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Oh, how dare you? What is the meaning of this? The girl, she's gone. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. I'm over here. Good gracious, how? What was the point in that little sidestep? I know what you lot are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you'll say, slipped up and got caught on the job. She got herself backed into a corner, so she knifed the gent. Go on, that's what in your heads, ain't it? No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast. Oh, look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. Let me guess. You don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs? Oh, this? Yeah, this was in a bag I lifted the other day. Down where they keep the four-wheeled drags. It's nice, ain't it? I like the pink best. Do not wave that thing in my direction again. So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question. Just alright, lass. You can tell them the truth now. Alright, yeah. It's just like the Irishman said. The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus on the night in question. Alright. If I have to. Snuck inside the carriage before they looked up the horses. It was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for my trouble. I tell you, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. Pitch in there. Then after a while, I aired this loud bang, nearly jumped out my skin. I did, and the scream just came out. Because of that, the swell found me. He did help me get away, mind. Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let the street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. This is where I was sat that night, and the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath the seat, I presume. Yes, it does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of that girl's stature. Aye, but of course the wee lass was stuck in there, because I'd parked myself on the seat for the duration. Ah. So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your actions would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord. Not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So, I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness. What a perfect gentleman.
My lord, this fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir.
With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yeah, full innocent.
Saints alive! All 6 members of the jury consensual in their leaning to a not guilty.
Mr. Naruhodo, it must mean... It must mean what? That we're victorious! We've won? Are you sure?
Objection!
If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray do forgive the discourtesy. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices. Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight to his true nature. What do you mean, his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in black and white here, in the police report.
Good lord!
The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilded's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat.
Wow! Order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel?
Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiency of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend?
Me?
When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the underseat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy.
Sorry?
Go ahead. You tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zyke.
Well, counsel?
Do you have something to say on this matter? How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat in the omnibus?
It wasn't empty.
I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my cause as counsel for the defense. But as far as I remember, at least. When I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel? Ah, be Weiss. What are you saying now, you daft doll? I thought you were on my side here.
I have to be honest.
What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand, but it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting. Just not altogether pleasing, fella. I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interest here, lad. Now then. A fella's memory is a curious thing and not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. That their cubbyhole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, and so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interest now to admit that you might have been mistaken? Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here?
I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. That compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The Guild's rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times, so certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. But wasn't that irresponsible? That money-lending fleecer and the pick purse are lying.
I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards. A lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick. Of course it's a trick. Quite so. I must concur there. Calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate.
Thank you, counsel. He pushed it back to 4. That's what he did, huh?
But before we proceed any further, there is a matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted, almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem.
I'll take down the Reaper, it's fine.
you couldn't see out the cabin at all. Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up with me head and look up a crack. Then I can have a butcher's who's I'm gonna fiddle. I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other, so most of the time the passengers plant themselves on opposite. But for some reason that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over me. For that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small, dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in them carriages. Doesn't she just stick to people, to picking people's pockets when you open them? Hold it! Hold it! Hold it! Both her hands covered in blood. Must be what the rooftop passenger saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGilded for a while. Is that correct? That's an me name, and I was up to that. Then I heard something from up above. Someone screamed. I was the first dude. And no one's seen me face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up smartish. Okay. Get back on the seat. I'll see that you can get away later. I didn't press, I think, the first statement, right?
Hold it!
This bunch means there's no point in spending money to make money that actually makes sense. May I remind you that this girl is a petty thief. Did I press
Hold it!
I don't remember if I did. I did. Okay. Just checking.
Hold it!
Well, no. Excuse me.
What are you all going crazy about? Is something wrong, Mr. McGilded? No, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel? I'm just wondering if Miss Lestrade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps. You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no. 'Twas nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad. Shut up in the dark. 'Twas terrifying. I see. Yes, I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now. Aye. And I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder. Yeah. I suppose it does. Maybe. Miss Lestrade, did you hear something that night? Anything? An unusual noise? No. Not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Pajabbers. There's no need to tell the whole world of me. Phil Gibbles, you little scamp, what a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue. What should we make of the last statement of hers? My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important.
Profoundly important, but all she said was that she heard nothing.
Yes, which is the profoundly important point. I'm almost sure of it.
I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless, Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement.
Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work. That's right. Insult the judge. Always a good move. I'm straining my ears to work out. All I could hear was...
Hold it!
So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time. Since the moment you hit yourself. Not exactly, no. Would he not likely? Even though we stopped in there and then the door opens, I can't speak her. I just had to stay put and listen to I'm driving is pigs to market, snoring like an old dog. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that? Miss Lestrade, what you have just told the court is clearly at odds with the facts.
Ah, at odds? Are you sure, man?
Absolutely. It seems my learned Nepalese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Zykes realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilded snoring, but think, Rianos can't think. There's something else she should have heard. Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The mason.
Take that!
Thrice-fired mason. Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Explain the reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus, is that correct? Yeah, of course. I got on while the driver was in the pub. And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded. So we were to all intents and purposes alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time. Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on. Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure. And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? No, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, wasn't it? Waiting for this swell to leave. In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Zykes. Yes, he knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. She didn't even say anything. I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars. Neither can I. Mr. Foreman, I didn't want to judge the girl just because she has less than salubrious ways. But I must say, we cannot abide liars. Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing. Nah, what are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Amadon? This is carnage. It's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going... I know. If we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilded's innocence, the judge will rule we'll have lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen, but those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Hold it!
Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Counsel! I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean? Counsel, I will not tolerate your attempts to prorogue my adjudication. Explain yourself. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection!
I wondered what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. The other has only windows. Fixed windows which cannot possibly open in short. There's no entrance to the cabin other than...
Objection!
But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. No, really. Yeah. One other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. Alright, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. The skylight.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. Or say, the skylight.
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words, however.
Objection!
The skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brain theory? Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained. As the sound of the victim falling from his seat, having been assaulted with the dagger. Yes, it has, but... Would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witness described? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact? Good gracious. Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
Objection!
You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin? That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Okay, they're lying? They're in it together? Well, yes, that's true, but... Might a humble fella make a wee comment here, Mr. McGilded? To be sure now, the two fellows who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Oh my goodness, surely not. Those two chaps on the roof. You mean the ones who stuck that knife in the man? Just what exactly are you insinuating?
You router, he said. You router. What are you insinuating?
This is a flaming outrage. I'm a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute.
He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said. And so will I.
Was he twerking? Mr. Fairplay, you're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and a well-respected banker.
And me, a very angry hatter.
Suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the gut. It's a disgrace. No, I protest in the strongest possible terms.
That's right, I protest about you, you rotten scoundrel.
This is not the time of witness. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the standard. Return to the ante. But this is beyond reason, my lord. It's outrageous.
It's very hurtful, you know.
My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Van Zuyck. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witness. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accuse? I never intended to. It seems, young Nepalese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. He proposed this to this court, that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimated their criminal guilt. In our British court of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but we can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting time for? Get them to testify. I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. We have to see this matter through now, one way or another. If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. Testify! What's happening, Mr. Naruhodo? Spectators in the public gallery. They're in a complete frenzy. Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First? My lord, You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony. In reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord.
I didn't come here for this.
There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward.
Hold it!
You never met Mr. Thrice Fired Mason?
Well, no. Excuse me.
Mr. McGill did. Did the witness's last statement give you a pause for thought somehow? Not the remotest connection? Is that right now? I wonder. What are you insinuating now? Mr. Fairplay, it has been too long, so it has. If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not, your repayment date? You borrowed 20 guineas from me, so... Well now, is that a touch of begrudgery? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fellow to pass his crimes off on another? And young Mr. First. You do be making hats for a living, do you not? That there top hat sliding about on your head, is that one of your own creation? The perfect fit, is it? Well, 'tis a very distinctive design. Many customers like it, I tell you. They like a distinctive touch. Customers, such as Thrice Fired Mason. There was a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence of her, my lord. Huh? Oh, this you must mean. Oh yeah, he is wearing his hat. I can't help thinking that the poor fellow's hat looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say? Oh. That's one of my hats. Aye, that it is. So it seemed the brickmaker was a customer of yours.
Wait, that ain't. Excuse me.
I see some red. Why are you looking at the sea? Let's look at the blood. There's clear blood on that.
Objection!
The victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach, and immediately afterwards, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us. Where exactly within the omnibus is this evidence?
Got it!
Bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open. And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening. And so it follows that Mr. McGildet, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime.
Hold it! Hold it! Objection!
A chilling performance, Mr. McGildet.
Objection!
Objection! Objection! Objection!
Got it! Objection! Objection!